That was beautiful. Thank you. Let's give him another hand. Thank you. Welcome to Unity of Verde Valley. I'm Reverend Alexandra Musser, and I am so blessed to be here on this beautiful 4th of July weekend with you. I'm just so grateful. And we're going to be celebrating freedom. And we're going to be looking back. I mean, what happens on the 4th of July is half of the year is already behind us. And so we're going to take a look at what happened even in the month of June before us. June is a month of many mansions. We have so many things that we celebrate. We have Father's Day. We have Juneteenth. We celebrate Flag Day. We celebrate Pride Month. We celebrate summer solstice. We approach Independence Day, which is our National Day of Declaration of Freedom, and we get ready for all of the outdoors and the camping that we do. And it's also Dairy Month, because my husband is part of a long line of dairy farmers. And so when we met 33, 34 years ago, he explained to me that June is Dairy Month. So and so we are all spiritual metaphors for one another as we stand in this time that many of us maybe wonder, well, what has happened? And what are we celebrating? Well, we come from a foundation of idealism. And whenever people start to do something idealistic, we find ourselves at crossroads and metaphors and in maybe just paradoxes. And so we're going to explore that together to realize that really, as the French say, that the more things change, the more they remain the same. But we are still moving forward. The next slide, please. Okay, so we have Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And by the way, they were just really supporters of what was called the American experiment. And Sherlock Holmes said it was just all because of a big royal misunderstanding. So this is true. I've researched this. So here we go. They went camping, and they had a wonderful outdoor celebration, and they cooked outdoors, and they had a couple bottles of wine, and they went to sleep in their tent, and all of a sudden, Sherlock Holmes wakes up, and his partner, Dr. Watson, says, Watson, wake up. What do you see? And so he just wipes the cobwebs from his eyes, and he says, well, what I see, it just depends. Astrologically, I think that we are in Saturn, partially maybe in the house of Leo. Astronomically, it tells me that there are millions and billions of galaxies out there. Horologically, I deduce that it's about 3:15 in the morning. And theologically, I just realize the magnificence and the powerful presence of God, and really how insignificant we are in looking up at the cosmos this way. And one more thing, I think that meteorologically, it's going to be a nice, bright, sunny day tomorrow. And Watson just looks at Holmes, and Holmes is so annoyed, and he says, Watson, you idiot, somebody stole our tent. So you see, it's all a matter of perspective. And the next one, please. So we celebrated Father's Day in the month of June. And what does that really mean? It's really not just about that one day, but we celebrate protection, provision, presence. We honor the father figures in our family, the masculine energy that protects, that provides. But what do we honor in that is the divine presence. And each and every single one of us has male and female aspects within us, because we're all created in the likeness and image of the divine. But this is what we celebrate on Father's Day. But the takeaway from Father's Day, which shouldn't just be that one day of the year, is what Thomas Troward said: God will provide the food, but he will not cook the dinner. And so again, we live in a very abundant universe, but it is up to us to be resourceful. It is up to us to put one foot in front of the other and realize that with spirit, with the winds of the divine, we can't cook our own dinner because the food is always provided. We are here to be co-creators with spirit, and we provide really not just for ourselves, but for everyone. And this is one thing that I want to leave you with on the topic of Father's Day. If we have fathers, we have children. And it is not just adults and little people. We are all parents to one another. At one time, someone has to be the bigger person to provide love, shelter, security, and to reach out a hand and pull somebody up. I've had it done for me, and let us all always be able to pass that forward to someone else. Let's see what else we celebrated. Juneteenth. Juneteenth represents a time in our history where 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, near Galveston, the slaves were aware that they were freed. But what happened is that they were not allowed to be free. They were supposedly not told. The news had not gotten there. And so they were kept in slavery, in those roles. And so finally what happened, over 2,000 Union soldiers came, and it was also the black color guard that came with them, and they came to liberate them, to tell them the truth that they were free. It's celebrated because it is freedom delayed but not denied. So here we celebrate freedom and Independence Day, but these are the roots of our nation. And I'm not saying this to say that it was negative, because look, they came. So whether we're late, whether somebody does something they shouldn't be doing, we advance as a nation, maybe like a waltz, maybe 2 steps forward and 1 back, but it's graceful and we advance. And the next one, please. Bernard Sagrand. He is the father of Father's Day, of Flag Day. When he was 19 years old, he had a single-room classroom in Wisconsin, and he took a flag and he put it in his inkwell, and he asked the students to talk about what the flag means to them. He was 19. He gave over 2,000 talks, if you want to roll it forward, please, over his lifetime as to why we should celebrate Flag Day. Can you imagine 2,000 talks in pursuit of something? He ended up moving to Chicago. He went to dental school. He became a dentist. This started with him when he was 19 years old. And yet we did not have Father's Day. I'm sorry, why do I keep calling it that? Flag Day, until the day that he passed away. In his honor, we had Flag Day. So it starts with an idea in the mind of a young person, 19, and yet he was a teacher at 19. And that's an idea, a spark, and he pursued it, and he pursued it, and he pursued it, and now we celebrate that. And the next one, please. We also just finished celebrating summer solstice. Summer solstice is when we have the same amount of light as we have dark. And so what does that really mean? It is a metaphor for being in balance. We need to have contrast in order to be able to appreciate the light. We also need to have rest. We need to be able to have quiet when everything goes away so that we can celebrate the sunrise. And it reminds us of changes. Ernest Holmes says, nature demands change in order that we may advance. And so this is a reminder of that. In all of the different religions and different areas of the past, it was celebrated in different ways. It was a time to celebrate fertility, fire, transformation. But it is such a bright, glorious, shiny day. And somehow for me, when we celebrate solstice, it just feels differently. It's a brighter day. I don't know how else to describe it. But now that's behind us too, because here we are in July. And the next one, please. We also celebrate Pride Month. This did not begin as a parade. It was a protest. The 1969 Stonewall Uprising was a time when the group of people that would get together with their own kind of people, let us say, because nobody chooses really who they love. You just can't choose that. You are what you are. And they were persecuted, they were arrested, they were beaten. And finally, what happened is they said no more. And that's where the idea of coming out came from. They decided to just stand in their pride and say, I am worthy as a human being. And other people that were not from the LGBTQ community joined them and appreciated them for being the authentic human beings, the loving creation of spirit that they were. The world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is. And so what happened there, that's from Emma Curtis Hopkins. She's the teacher of teachers. She taught the Fillmores, she taught Ernest Holmes, she taught all of the New Thought teachers. What does it say? I'm changing my mind about the world. I'm living in the world of persecution and shame and hiding, and I'm changing my mind about that. I'm standing out, proud of who I am. If I accept myself, the world will accept me, because they'll see the light in my eyes, and they'll feel the warmth of my heartbeat. And that is what that is all about. And I bring this up not only to acknowledge what happened, but it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with being gay. It has to do with anything that maybe we are keeping underneath something of ourselves. We need to be proud of who and whose we are. And we need to step forward into the light, recognizing that spirit doesn't make any mistakes. And therefore, each and every single one of us is a uniquely special being, worthy of love, worthy of respect, and worthy of appreciation. And the next one, please. The 4th of July, the signing of the Declaration of Independence was considered an act of treason. And they knew when they were signing the Declaration of Independence that things were going to go against them. And in fact, many of the signers had their homes burned down, were arrested, were hung. Some families were just scattered all over the place and lived in fear. This did not come without consequence. And for some of us that today that might fear what we put on our social media, because there's this tension of conformity and that bad things might happen if we speak our truth. We are born from a group of people as a nation that risked their lives. And so Benjamin Franklin joked, and he said that we will either all hang alone, or else perhaps we would be better off hanging together. That's where that little saying comes from. And there's a cute little story that I'm going to share. This is true. This is historically true. There was a person by the name of Elbridge Gerry, and he was a shorter man. And there was a Stephen Hopkins, and he was very, very tall. They were both signers of the Declaration of Independence. And so the taller man, Stephen Hopkins, said to Eldridge that my hand trembles, but my heart does not. But then he said to him, I shall have a great advantage over you, Mr. Jerry, because when we are all hung, what we are now doing. From the size and weight of my body, said the taller one, I shall die in a few minutes. But from the lightness of your body, you will dance in the air an hour or two before you're dead. I mean, this is what they said to each other. This is what they knew that they were doing. And so it seems like dark humor, but it was the truth. It was the pressure of the moment that they felt, and it was such a historic moment. So when we celebrate freedom and we want to tell people about our spiritual beliefs and maybe about our political beliefs and the world in which we see that everybody is fed and everybody is respected, we should not be afraid. We should not be afraid that somebody will call us some sort of a name, because at least we're not going to be hung for it, and yet people were willing to be hung. So what do we celebrate? It's not just barbecues and hamburgers, folks. We have to take this torch forward in the world. The next one, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. They were two of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and they were friends. And at one point, for a period of maybe 12 years, they fell out of kindredness, let's say, with one another. One was a Federalist. They had different kinds of viewpoints, and they kind of went apart their own way. And then a friend brought them back together, and they started writing letters to each other, very idealistic letters about the hope for the nation. What's really interesting that they both died on the 4th of July in 1826. And so when Thomas Jefferson passed away, his last words were, at least Adams lives. But unbeknownst to him, in a completely different place in this great nation, John Adams had only passed away a couple hours before him. We talk about traveling within maybe 6 degrees of separation. None of us are here by accident. And so when we hear these stories and we see them, they come together, they sign the Declaration of Independence, they argue, they fight, they come together, and they exit. They exit the spiritual plane on the same day. One cannot help but know that we are spiritually here for a reason. This was not just true for them. It's true for every single one of us, why we are here. Yet it's only if we do the work that we feel in our hearts we need to do. This is not for me to even suggest what that work is, but I want each of you to look deeply within yourself and find that spark that says, yes, this is mine to do, and do it. Because there's no point in being here at this point in history if we're not going to take this forward. It is really needed now. And our next slide, please. On September 1787 was the last day of the Constitutional Convention. And Elizabeth Willing Powell was a woman of great influence. She was a friend of George Washington's. She is the one that wrote letters to him, encouraging him to run for president a second time. She was very closely aligned with the patriots that founded this great nation. And so when Benjamin Franklin came out, she's the one that said to him, well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy? And he replied, a republic, if you can keep it. And so who is going to keep it now in 2025? It's those of us that are alive here in 2025. This is our legacy to bring forward. The next one, please. I love this. This is from Isaac Newton. He says, if I had seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Folks, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And it's not just to enjoy the vista. It is to move it forward. It is to be able to celebrate all those that have come before us. And to take the baton. History is a relay, right? We have ideas, ideals, notions that are just wrapped in the ideology of a sacred baton. And as new generations come forward, we take that and we hand it to the next generation. And now it is our time by divine appointment because we are still here. And so when you look at the things that have happened in the past, these wonderful people that we mentioned, our founding fathers, they talked about freedom. They talked about everybody being created equal. They owned slaves. George Washington had a slave by the name of Ona Judge. She was 20 years old. She was going to be given over to his granddaughter. And she ran away. And she ran away to Massachusetts. And he spent the rest of his life trying to bring her back. There's 3 different attempts. The third attempt, he went there and he had dinner with the senator that said, hey, I've got people that are coming to get her tomorrow. And he passed the word to her and she moved forward from there and ran away to someplace else. Jefferson, he had over 600 slaves. So we talk about dichotomies and inconsistencies. You know, we have so many patriotic people here today in our world and our country with the flags and with this and with that. And yet they're doing things that are inconsistent with the idea of freedom and with the idea of equality and with the idealistic notions of treating people correctly and lovingly and what we call human dignity, which is really just this, how Spirit treats us, with human dignity, with divine dignity. And so we think, wow, we had all these great patriots, and look at now what's happening, and I hear this a lot, oh, things have changed. Things are better. Things are better if we look at the way things were and we continue to make it better. So I encourage you not to get stuck in the woe is me and things have changed and what happened to our democracy. Remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience which comes with certain limitations, right? But we have to remember that all the things that are so hard fought for are things that are still have work left to do. And so I want to bless you on this 4th of July holiday. I would like to bring us to a moment of meditation and reflection and closing. And I just want to make sure that each and every single person here feels the torch of their destiny beating in their chest. I know that we are a church and we talk about God in spirit, but it is all about humanity and the expression of spirit as humanity, as each and every single one of us here, with love and gratitude and freedom and respect for one another. And so I now invite you to close your outer eyes and to think back to a 4th of July celebration, maybe when you were a child or a student, when the impact of the meaning of the 4th of July, like the meaning of the flag, hit you. Whether you were looking at fireworks, brightening up the sky, or enjoying something in the backyard with family. But you thought, wow, it's been a long road. What has it taken to get here? And from this place, I want you to consider with great gratitude. All the work, all the love, all the godliness and the spirituality that has made its way into making this country great. And you are here. You are a part of it. You are a beacon of light. From this place of gratitude, ask yourself, what can I do to move us forward? Is it a small act of kindness? Is it speaking my word in truth? Is it bringing God and Spirit into everything that I do? Remembering who and whose I am. And so I invite you from this moment forward to stop sitting on the sidelines shaking your head, but to jump into the river of life with kindness, energy, compassion, gratitude, and to remember that you make a difference. Use that difference. Shine that difference. Be the difference you want to see in the world. Thank you. Namaste.